next topic is the need for religion in our future lives. Yesterday we discussed about the need for religion in our present lives. So are you very clear that religion is needed in this life? Right? So basically it is saying unless you have, whether you call it a religion or spirituality, unless you are able to have the right frame of the mind, you cannot be happy just by the material accumulations. That's what he's saying. Then the next is the religion, the need for religion in our future lives. Future lives. Now many people don't believe in future lives. Right? So the first thing that we need to do is try to indicate, if not convince, but at least try to indicate the possibilities of future life. One way of doing this is, do you believe in tomorrow? Your tomorrow is your today's future life. How are you sure that you will be there tomorrow? There's no guarantee, right? There's no guarantee. So now here, when I say things like that, then the question arises, this is different, because tomorrow I very much expect that there will be the continuity of this physical body. But when we die, then the body is left behind, right? The body is left behind, then how can we be sure that there is something called mind which continues for future lives? That's the key question. That's the main question. The answer, kind of rough answer to this is, tonight when you go to bed and sleep soundly, your eyes can't see anything, your nose can't smell anything, your ears can't hear anything, right? Especially if you are very tired, then you will be like, what they say, kharante maar ke so jayenge ab. That means you will snore and sleep peacefully, right? So body is, what I'm trying to drive at is, your body is more or less dead. What about the mind, consciousness? Does it also remain dormant or it becomes more active? It really looks like it becomes more active. Yesterday when I was sleeping, my mind was having so many strange dreams, So the mind actually becomes active. According to Buddhist teaching, it says the more you withdraw the function of the grosser senses, the more it gives an opportunity for the subtle consciousness to wake up. That's the important point to think about. Right? And then many, as I mentioned earlier, there are many people who had these near-death experiences. So their body is at least for 1 week, 2 days, 3 days, is really lifeless. And then they come back. And what they experience during their near-death experience is that they really feel they are not restricted by anything. They are kind of almost like a light, engulfing and covering everything, There's no restriction, a very big presence of experience of peace and light and calmness. They say things like that, right? So anyway, you need to think about that a little bit. But at least in this life, it is not good enough that you think only for today, but you should also think for tomorrow. However long you are going to live, we are not sure, but you need to plan for the future in this life. So the Buddhist teachings are saying that similarly we should plan for future lives. How do we know? That's why His Holiness is asking the pertinent question. How do we know that there is an afterlife? See? According to Buddhism, although the nature of cause and effect may be different, they must have the same essential properties. They must have a definite connection. Otherwise, the same cause cannot result in the same effect. For example, the human body can be perceived. It has a form and color, and therefore its immediate source or cause must have these qualities. Because it is a physical thing, then the causes should also have these physical qualities. But the mind is formless, and hence its immediate source or cause also be formless. So basically, what we are saying is, we talk about 2-3 different types of causes and conditions. One is called cooperative condition. Another is called immediately preceding condition, or substantial cause. So the substantial cause of a body, physical body, has to be physical body. The substantial cause of the mind cannot be a physical body. There can be a physical body which can be the cooperative cause and condition, but not the substantial cause. So substantial cause means that which becomes the fruit. So in the case of physical body, the substantial cause has to be physical body, which also changes into physical body, right? Now in the case of the mind, if the substance cause of the mind is the body, then the body becoming mind is not possible. So the substantial cause for the mind must be, substantial cause of the mind must be a preceding mind. So that's the logic. Now with this logic, then we have to trace back, okay, what is the origin of the main substantial cause of my mind? Mind. Then go back to the next slide. When you die, then when you take next rebirth, then there also the substantial cause of that mind, of that new life, also has to be a mind, not a body. Right? Cooperative condition can be physical body. But the mind is formless, and hence its immediate source, sometimes we call immediately preceding condition, or cause, must also be formless. As an analogy, the properties of the seeds of medicinal plants create medicine, and the seeds of poisonous plants create poison. Most beings have physical bodies, though in some regions of existence, beings only have minds. Like we have there are 3 realms: form realm, desire realm, desireless realm. So there is a realm called formless realm, where they don't have physical forms like us. Any living sentient being does not have to have a physical body like us. Like for example, if you go down to mosquito doesn't have a complicated physical body, complicated brain like us, right? But they also function. Do they have nervous system? Maybe. But mosquito is even mosquito is not the smallest one. Even smaller than that is what? Some of the tiny, like what you call as bugs or insects. Gnats. Gnats. And G-N-A-T is gnats. Whatever that is, gnats. The smallest tiny thing, which even in this water it looks very clean. My eye can't see anything, but there must be some gnats here inside.
You would see gnats. There's probably amoeba.
Amoeba is also not the smallest, no? So the point that I'm making is, if you go down like this, then you will gradually come to a level where the body is subtler, and almost invisible. This now scientifically we can prove. So that's what the text is also saying, that there is a realm called formless state, where the mind and the energy are more or less same.
Is that different?
Huh?
Is that a different
can be anywhere, formless beings, not necessarily a different country or different nation. I don't think so. Okay. For example, like gnats or mosquitoes, whatever, they don't have a separate different realm. They're all here. Probably, I don't know. Most beings have physical bodies, though in some regions of existence, beings only have minds. Both mind and body must have immediate sources. At the very moment of conception, both mind and body are formed and begin to function. The immediate source of body is that of its parents. That of its parents means the egg and what? Egg and? Sperm and egg. Ovum is what? Egg. Acha, ovum and egg is same, okay. Egg. I have to be very clear. Egg from the mother and sperm from the father. When parents, the future parents, when they meet or when they met, then egg and the sperm meet together, and the intermediate state being who is looking for a rebirth, if there is a karmic connection, then this meeting place, if the intermediate being is to be born as a girl, then it said she sees that meeting of these two properties as like a no, not like that. When the parents, the future parents meet, then this if that intermediate state being is to be born as a girl, then she sees the male organ as something pleasurable, something nice, like a garden, something like that. Then goes there, get attracted and get there. If one is to be born as a boy, then gets more attracted to the properties of the women. So that is explained there. There is a text called Entering the Womb Sutra by the Buddha. Read that. We actually, the library did a comparative study of that text with the scientific explanation. So that it's worth reading, should be somewhere there. Quite similar. The immediate source of body is that of its parents. So that's why there is Shantideva in his Bodhicharya Avatara. You know, Shantideva in his Bodhicharya Avatara. Shantideva in his Bodhicharya Avatara, when he speaks about the extent of the importance of practice of exchanging oneself for others, then the question comes up, how can I consider others myself and myself as others? Then the logic that he uses is, for example, this body that you cherish so much now, saying this is my body, but originally it's not your body. It's the egg and the sperm, the drops of regenerative fluids coming from the parents. To that you say, this is my body, you give the designation, now you cherish it. So similarly to other sentient beings also, if you say these are my sentient beings, you can develop that similar, mind of cherishing others' well-being. The immediate source of body is that of its parents, so your body comes from your parents. But the physical matter cannot produce mind, no mind matter. Okay, now they are saying artificial intelligence can create consciousness. Right? The article that you sent me says that artificial intelligence, they are really hopeful that it will create consciousness.
Hopeful because they're invested in it.
Yeah, but the question is, I already answered your letter. by saying that it's a difficult task. But even if they are able to produce consciousness, what are they going to do with it? And especially if you not only produce consciousness, but also if you are going to make them live forever, how many will be there? Who will control the number? What is the role of morality then? All these are like, I responded to your letter by saying, this kind of, research may be good, but it's really like the horse in the Calcutta. Horse in Calcutta. You are from Calcutta. She is from Calcutta. The horse from Calcutta means, these days I don't know. I used to travel through Calcutta. In those ancient days, they have these horses where the horses pulling the carts, So because it's a big crowd, so that the horses do not get frightened, they put blinkers, you see. So they only go one direction. So now everybody is trying to create consciousness, artificial intelligence is going just in one direction. And what will be the benefit? What will be the... we had a lot of problem when we were inventing this cloning. You see, we had a lot of problem. Then the questions of ethics and so many things, and then gradually it died down. I don't know, now nobody is talking. Right? Anyway. But physical matter cannot produce mind, meaning that you need to be very clear. Physical matter can produce mind in the sense that physical matter can be cooperative condition, not the substantial cause. It can be cooperative. Like if you plant a seed of mango, then the substantial cause for that mango tree or something is the mango seed itself. But the cooperative condition is the manure, the water, the people who planted it. So many things contributed to it. That's called cooperative condition. But the main cause for that is called substantial cause. Because so many of these explanations are not so clear here. The immediate source of mind must therefore be a mind which existed before the conception took place. The mind must have a continuity from a previous mind. So the point His Holiness is making here is, or in the Buddhist text, the point that is being made is, there's no reason that the mind should come to an end. So it should continue. Therefore, many lives. Right? But there can be a lot of questions here also. Why then physical body should come to an end? Does the physical body come to an end? It can be what you call as disfigured, or the shape and size, many things change, but I don't think it is completely lost. For example, Nagarjuna, in one of his logic, he says, the cause for example, if you burn a butter lamp, then after a while the butter lamp ceases, right? So the cause for the extinction of cessation of that butter lamp is end of the fuel, exactly. So on an ordinary level, when we say the end of the fuel is the cause, it doesn't look very nice, but it in fact is the cause for its extinction. Right? So it almost like the law of conservation of energy. It looks like nothing gets lost. They change into different forms of energy.
Well, if your body dies,
Yeah.
then it either rots or it's cremated
Exactly.
So it goes into
Exactly.
form.
Exactly. So that's why in Madhyamika school, disintegration is a conditioned phenomena. Anything when disintegrates, because if it doesn't disintegrate, it cannot produce anything. So disintegration, shikpa we call it, disintegration, is a conditioned phenomena. Is a phenomena, conditioned phenomena. The immediate source of a mind must therefore be a mind which existed before the conception took place. The mind must have a continuity from a previous mind, as I already mentioned. This, behold, is proof of the existence of past life. This has been demonstrated by the accounts of adults and children who remember their past life. In many ancient Buddhist stories, there are stories of people who remember their past life. In fact, there was one Buddhist master who had a very strong debate with a non-Buddhist philosopher. Then he wanted to prove that there is future life. So it is said he put a pearl or something in the mouth and died, and the child has something like that in the mouth. Right? Then another thing that we say, there are several examples. One example, how the life continues is, for example, if I teach you how to recite Om Mani Padme Hum, okay, I'll say Om Mani Padme Hum, you say it, Om Mani Padme Hum. When I say Om Mani Padme Hum and you recite Om Mani Padme Hum, this recitation Om Mani Padme Hum comes from my recitation, right? Or if you put a seal on a paper, you get the impression. So what is it that is transmitted? So something like that, you know. Something like that. And not only that, these days there are hundreds of books of people who remember their past lives. My institute, Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, also interviewed some very young kids in South India. So there is one young girl who, even when she was very young, she was always thirsty. The parents have to make sure that when she goes to the school, they put, bottled water or something for drink. She's always thirsty. And this little girl remembered in her previous life she was a drunkard. And then there's another girl who gets very scared as soon as she sees rainfall. And she remembers her past life that she and some schoolmates went to a river to do some swimming. Probably she did not know swimming, so somebody pushed her and she drowned and died with a lot of fear. So because of this, now in this life, as soon as she sees water, she gets very scared. They're really very strange. In my family also, there is a young girl, very young. Now I think she's a little bit grown up. She doesn't like anybody touch her. She feels very uncomfortable when somebody touches her. Then in the same family, this girl's mother, although all the family members, they eat meat, Tibetans eat meat. But her mother totally disliked meat. She almost start vomiting right from childhood. And she would not touch the plates of those people who had eaten meat in that plate. Now, of course, she is, I think, in her 40s. So she does all the washing, but still don't eat meat. In the whole family where everybody is non-vegetarian. It's very interesting. Things like that. This has been demonstrated by the accounts of adults and children who remembered their past lives. Because if they remember their past life, then this must be because of the transmigration of the consciousness. Because the brain, the whole physical body, including the brain, has been destroyed. Right? Children who remember their past lives, a phenomenon found not only in historical records but also observed today. Several years back, there was a girl from Punjab, little girl from Punjab. She remembered her past life and remembered her past life parents. As soon as she started speaking a little bit, she was hinting and saying something that she wanted to go certain places, And then according to whatever she said, they took her and reached their family. And she started talking about everything. And they were convinced. So this life she had two parents. And then when we heard this, then one of our ministers went down and invited the whole family to see His Holiness. This was a long time back. And then in Varanasi, Central Institute for Higher Tibetan Studies, there is one Geshe, very senior Geshe, very nice one. Thupten Sering is his name. After he passed away, his reincarnation was recognized. And this reincarnation, knew where he lived. He asked his attendants to go to his former, room in Gandhin Shatse monastery. And after reaching the room, he said, I have my eyeglass there in the table. Pull the table, there's a very old eyeglass there, So, there are many stories like this. And recently somebody sent me this clip from some remote village in India of experience with two families. One family had a little girl, another had a little boy. Both of them started speaking in English. Very good pronunciation. The parents don't speak English at all. Very remote village. Then recently I also saw this story of a merchant, a cloth merchant. So he died. And after a while they noticed that one cow comes straight to that house and go inside it. The rebirth of that cloth merchant. Not one day, not 2 days, but he comes repeatedly. Right? So there are many, many stories like that, many stories. We can conclude from this that a past life existed, and hence that a life in the future will also exist. The same logic. If there is a past life, then why not future life? If belief in afterlife is accepted, religious practice is necessary, as nothing else can supplant it. The preparation for one's future existence. Why? Because when you die, you can't take your relatives with you. You can't take your dollars with you. You can't take your Indian rupees with you. And forget about all those. You can't even take your body. You leave your body behind. So what goes to the next life is your mind. And what goes with the mind is, if you have done some spiritual practice, and especially implanted some positive, strong seeds, habits formed on the mind, that will go. So only that is beneficial. So that's why we normally say death is definite. Time of death is unfortunately not definite. And when one dies, the only thing that is of benefit is spiritual practice. Right? Not only when we die, in our life also, if you have education, as I mentioned earlier, spiritual practice or education, whatever you want to call it, if you have something, with your mind, then wherever you go, you're okay. Right? Buddhism and its founder. just a particular disease in the world can be treated by various methods in medicine. So there are different religions that bring happiness to human beings and others. Different doctrines have been expounded by different exponents at different periods and in different ways. But I believe they all fundamentally aim at achieving the same noble goal in teaching moral precepts to mold the functions of the mind, body, speech, and mind. So that means the purpose of all religions is to make good human beings. Whether you believe in a God or don't believe in a God, your practices may be different, your philosophy may be different, but the purpose of all this philosophy is to bring happiness, to make us happiness. So don't fight over philosophical differences, but pay attention to the message. That's to mold the functions of, that is to mold means to change, transform your mind, your body and your speech. And how can you transform your body? Transforming body means what? Transforming body means you should not physically harm others. Instead, help others. Recite mantras, whatever. Use your body, your speech, and then your speech, recite mantras. Don't use your speech for dividing people, for creating miseries. So your speech should be like honey. If not possible, then at least a flower. It should not be like a filth. There are some people who, as soon as we hear, we feel very unhappy, They will be shouting and cursing, Ye nahi hona chahiye. It should not be like that. Right? So physical. And how much you can transform your body and speech is very much dependent upon your mind. Sometimes if your mind is not trained and not transformed, then with a negative mind, you can sometimes cheat people. For example, externally, physically, you look very nice. But mentally, you are thinking about deceiving others. So unless you do your spiritual practice with mind, the so-called spiritual practice that you do with your body and speech are not guaranteed that they will become spiritual practice. For example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama gave this example. When you go around the temple, or if you are doing a prostration in front of the temple, okay, physically you are going around the temple or prostration, very good, Verbally, you may be reciting Om Mani Padme Hum and going. Mentally, thinking about money. So gradually, verbally you are reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, but mentally you are thinking about money, then after a while you say, money, 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 money. Not Om Mani Padme Hum. Really possible. But if your mind is totally dedicated to compassion and love and forgiveness, then negative speech will not come. Negative physical activities will not come. So therefore, Dharma means to transform your mind, change your mind from negative to the positive. That's the meaning of Dharma practice. Right? They all teach us not to tell lies, see? Or bear false witness. Bearing false witness, is this a Christian term? I very much think so. So this must have very biblical. So the one who wrote this really has a lot of Christian influence, it looks like. Or bear false witness. In Buddhism, we normally don't say that one. We say not to tell lie, not steal, or take the lives of others, and so on. Therefore, it would be better if disunity among the followers of different religions could come to an end. Oh, this is very, very important. Sometimes, unfortunately, we fight between different religious traditions. Different religions are like medicine. So if the so-called religious people start fighting, then this is like medicine becoming poison. Right? So you should respect the diverse interests and needs of different people. For some, If there is a God, they feel happy. There's a fatherly figure, who is seeing, I must be careful. Whether there's a God or not, that is not important. What is important is the benefit that you get. And then for some others, believing in a creator God doesn't make sense, illogical. You should take the responsibility, do the job in helping others. That makes more sense, right? But different people have different mental dispositions. For example, when your family members sit for dinner together, the father says, I want rice. The mother says, I want chapati. And then the daughter says, I want soup. Right? Now in this case, if the father says, since I want rice, you should all eat rice. And the mother says, since I like bread, you should all eat bread. Then if we fight over it, it's total stupidity. So let people eat whatever they like. So similarly, let people follow whatever religion they want to follow. It's not only religion, there's so many things people do. Let them do whatever they want, so long as it doesn't harm others. It should be a little bit qualified. So long as it does not harm others. Right? Therefore, it would be better if disunity among the followers of different religions could come to an end. And His Holiness in this case gave several examples. One is supermarket. He calls it supermarket of religions. So in a mall or in a supermarket, if you go to a supermarket and mall, the only thing they sell is shoes, not many people will go there. Some want shirt, some want pants, some want chocolate, So if a mall or a supermarket has so many varieties of commodities, the better it will be able to serve the needs of many people. So similarly, if there are many, many different religions, it will be able to help many people. Then sometimes he gives the example like a garden. If a garden has only red flowers, not many people will go there. But if the garden has many different colored flowers, more people will be attracted. So like that, okay. Unity among religion is not an impossible idea. It's not an impossible idea. It is possible, right? I mean, on an ordinary level, when two people marry, it doesn't mean that everything is same. The husband cannot say that you should be exactly like me, follow just what I want. Wife also cannot say that, right? They have differences, different educational background, different talent, right? So, while appreciating this diversity, differences, and then appreciating the common kind of thing, just like I mentioned, the common message of all religions same. So similarly, these people also come together. There may be some common qualities which they like, which they want to share. So they live together. But that doesn't mean they have no differences at all. That doesn't mean that they should always fight over differences. Some families always fight over differences. It is possible, and in the present state of the world, it is especially important. Not only possible, but it's important. So many countries are fighting in the name of religion. Right now, they are fighting. Mutual respect would be helpful to all believers, and unity between them would also bring benefit to unbelievers. For the unanimous flood of light would show them the way out of their ignorance. So if the religious practitioners are really good people, they are united, it will also give a very good message to the non-believers. They will also say, yes, it's very good, they are very good, And then gradually it will help them also to follow religion. I strongly emphasize the urgent need for flawless unity among all religions. To this end, the followers of each religion should know something of the religion of others, at least some basic. Like, for example, in Buddhism, we have 10 non-virtuous actions, 10 virtuous actions. In Christianity, you have 7 deadly sins. Right? So, the...
10
10 Commandments, exactly. 7 deadly sins and 10 Commandments. The man who I think invented this 7 deadly sins was Mark Gregory or somebody, Father Gregory or somebody. And the reason he put 7 deadly sins, 7, not many, so that people are able to remember. Right? So number should not be too long, too many. To this end, the followers of each religion should know something of the religion of others, and that's why I'm presenting a brief introduction to the Buddhism of Tibet. I must begin, however, by saying that it is very difficult to find exact English equivalent for the philosophical terms of Buddhism expressed in Tibetan, especially at that time. It is hardly possible at present to find a scholar who has both a perfect knowledge of English and a perfect knowledge of Tibetan Buddhist philosophy and religion. At that time. Now there may be many, if not many, but at least there are a number of scholars. Right? So this book actually is very old. Also, there are not many authentic translations for reference. Books written or translated in the past have certainly done a great service to Buddhism, but some of them are rather rough translations, providing only a superficial interpretations. I hope scholars in the future will solve this problem so that the more profound aspects of our religion can be communicated in English. So it is with this urge to understand the original Tibetan teaching properly, you will see so many students studying here Tibetan language, so that they don't have to depend on a translation. Because many translators, they don't have very good knowledge of both the English and the Buddhist teaching. Right? So in this booklet, a very free translation is being used, so that English is as simple as possible. At present, I can only write on these matters with confidence in Tibetan, and for an English translation, I have to rely on others. I can only hope that the translation is a precise rendering. I have already explained in My Land and My People that we Buddhists believe that all beings are reborn and strive through a series of lives towards the perfection of Buddhahood. We do not take it for granted that this perfection will attain in a single lifetime, although it can be possible. So here you need to know these two terms, rebirth and reincarnation. Rebirth will be there. When we say reborn, rebirth. Rebirth will be there with every one of us. After we die, we will be reborn, again maybe as a human being, or maybe a dog, or maybe a cow, or maybe even mosquito, depending upon what karma you committed. But it is sure that you will come back again. Because your rebirth into this life is projected by the force of negative action and negative emotions. They are the real propeller. You don't have much choice. When I use the word choice, do you think you have choice in this life? Or what you are doing is through the force of negative karma or negative emotion? Do you have choice? Do you think you have choice? You have choice. Sometimes. But there is a big role played by negative emotions and contaminated actions that we committed in the past. In the past means past lives. The past means few years back, whatever. So whatever you have done, something repeatedly, you continue that habit. Just like if you pick up a habit of drinking coffee from today, then it's very likely you will continue this for some time. Especially if you get addicted, you will continue for the rest of your life. Something like that, right? And reincarnation means you are again you will come again back into this world, not because of negative emotions and contaminated karmas, but you are born out of your choice because of the power of compassion and love. You can come back again. So that is called reincarnation. So they are different. Reincarnation, rebirth are different.
So reincarnation always implies bodhisattva.
Huh?
So reincarnation always implies bodhisattva. You are a bodhisattva,
Bodhisattva.
so you decide to come back.
Bodhisattva, I don't know. If you have like enough positive karma and less negative emotions, you might be able to come back even when you are not bodhisattva. I think so.
So that's not the motivation for reincarnation. It is not always the motivation.
No, not just motivation. What you have been doing in the past lives. If your like act of positive karma, accumulation of positive karma is very strong, right? Then of course you will have the motivation. Then you are born to help others.
That's being a bodhisattva, right?
Not necessary. You may have a bodhisattva kind of mind, but not necessarily bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means out of the 5 paths, when you attain the first path, path of accumulation, then you become a bodhisattva. But even before that, we can kind of cultivate some kind of facsimile bodhicitta, How nice if I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Just by repeating that, you don't become bodhisattva. You can't cultivate bodhisattva mind, right?
When time disable a person to have a choice for reincarnation, what particular time disable the person to have a choice for reincarnation?
If you achieve the third path, path of seeing, now others I don't remember. If you achieve the path of seeing, then it is clearly stated that there will be no sickness, there will be no aging. When you become an Arya, the superior being. Arya means when you achieve the third path, which is called path of seeing, where you are able to see emptiness directly. Then because you are able to see emptiness directly, you have transcended the ordinary path. So therefore, path of excellence, or Arya we call it. So when you reach that state, then there is no sickness, no aging, no death also. But as I mentioned earlier, to get reincarnated, I don't know the demarcation, but it really, for me, I think that even before you become bodhisattva, you can reincarnate. Number one. Number two, in today's society, there are many so-called reincarnations. Okay? Forgive me to say this. Majority of them may not be reincarnation, but just the society made it up. Very clear. Because everybody who says, I am reincarnation, no, sorry. That's why His Holiness always says, I respect those scholars who really studied many, many years and then became scholars. I respect them more than the so-called reincarnates. And he said reincarnation has become almost like a social status. So for me, I discourage having too many reincarnations. And if you read the story of really, really great qualified masters, they never say that I have reincarnation. In some cases maybe, but generally speaking, they never say I have reincarnation.
When you have somebody like a
then reincarnations are selected by the members of their family or attendants, the monasteries, whoever. Because they want somebody to represent them with a big title, big name, You see? I mean, it's like if you are really, really good science scholar, everybody wants you to be with the community, It's something like that, you see. I know one very good scholar, very senior scholar, Geshe Lhakdor is by his name. He was abbot of Drepung Losileng Monastery. So he used to go to America to teach, and then he got cancer. And he has students like J.B. Hawkins and many of these modern scholars are his students. So when His Holiness was visiting America, this scholar went to see His Holiness and his student, Professor J.B. Hawkins, also went with him. Then of course he must have asked His Holiness to pray for him because he has cancer. His Holiness immediately said, "Oh, you go back to India." And Professor Hawkins, American Buddhist scholar, this monk's student, he requested His Holiness, please don't say things like this. Because here in America we have much better medical facilities than in India. But here the doctors very clearly said the maximum he will live is 3 months. So please don't say this. On hearing this scholar, he scolded Professor J.W. Hopkins. He said, "What do you know?" He only knows everything. What do you know? Of course, he listened to His Holiness, came back, and then after coming back, he spent almost 1 year in Dharamsala, very, very close from here. There is a minister, must be his student or something. In his house, he spent more than 1 year. Whereas in America, they said only 3 months. So he spent more than 1 year. And at one point, he said, when I eat something, somewhere in the stomach, there's something that is blocking. So I really feel like I can just take it out, something like that. Can I do this? He again informed His Holiness. His Holiness said, yes, go, do an operation. They did an operation, and half of the stomach was taken away with this operation. But he was able to eat as he used to eat. Then his personal attendant, which was also one of his very close relatives, he was also Geshe, I remember, a tall guy. So he used to tell this about the Gela, half of your stomach is already gone. How can you eat like before? Then he would respond by saying, since I'm able to eat, so I'm eating. So then after a while he said, now I'm just spent so much time in Dharamsala, I'm just wasting my time. I want to go back to the monastery and start teaching. He went back to the monastery. I don't remember how long, but he started teaching there. Then suddenly his cancer spread all over his body. Then he was suddenly flown to New Delhi. Right? So I met him there a few times. Not the last day, but on beginning. He spent some time in Delhi also. At that time I met. So anyway, now the cancer has, spread all over his body. Then he was flown back to Delhi. And on that very night, around 2 p.m., he woke up and called all his students, this other Geshe, and then also to Dumbum Tulka, very senior Rinpoche, he was there, many. He said, okay. Then the last thing that he requested them was, please change the direction of my bed. I want to face my head towards certain direction. Then he said, okay, I don't have to give any date to anybody. Ready to go? Said something like this. Then his personal attendant and relative, he started crying. He pleaded, please, we request you that you come, your reincarnation should come. So that's my point. Your reincarnation, I pray for your reincarnation. Then he scolded him. I have no reincarnation. After my death, if you pick our ordinary child who is not able to even clear his nose, if you pick up such a child and give my name to him and call him as my reincarnation, that there cannot be a disgrace more than that you can do for me. That's what I'm saying. But these days, every abbot when dies, somebody gets them. I don't. Okay, last one or two questions. We are done with the time. Yeah. Yeah. Huh?
One can choose, one has the will to choose their next birth or not?
Yeah, one have. Because you are not projected by the force of karma or negative emotion.
For reincarnation.
Yes, for reincarnation. For rebirth, no choice.
Okay.
For reincarnation, you can choose.
So my next question would be then, as from my limited knowledge, I know like it happens after the eighth bhumi.
Huh?
After the eighth round, one can choose.
No, reincarnation even before that, as I mentioned. Eighth bhumi is very high, very close to Buddhahood. There are 10 bhumis, So when you reach the first bhumi, you're already in Arya bhumi.
So, did I understand it correctly that when you die, you're automatically reborn?
Yeah.
You cannot, by your mind, during your death, force the way your body is going to be looking like in your next life?
Huh?
Or so it just happens automatically. You basically die and you get reborn.
Yeah.
You cannot control the process.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
You can, as I mentioned, you can control only if you're somebody who has been practicing Dharma for a long time.
Okay.
You should have a clear, that's why His Holiness says, I die like 6 times a day or 6 times a night, something like that. There is a prayer and meditation where you analyze that process of death. So that is to make your mind familiar with the process of death. If you're familiar, then when you're dying, okay, now the earth is dissolving into water. Then now the water is dissolving into fire. Oh, now the fire is dissolving into wind. Oh, now the wind is dissolving into consciousness. Then consciousness also 80 different categories. And finally, to the subtlemost consciousness. Then accordingly you will be able to concentrate and practice. So to reach that level, you need to really be habituated with this practice for a long time. Otherwise, because people will be scared of death, forget about any spiritual practice. Right? But if you're somebody who is really having very good spiritual practice, then death is nothing to be feared. It's really like returning home. Okay?
So it's the karma, negative karma, is what is guiding your rebirth.
Yeah.
Do you have any choice at all in the bardo about your rebirth, or are you at the mercy of all of your negative karma, or maybe with...
Just before death, if you develop a very good motivation, it can change the course of where you're going to be born. It makes a very big impact. But the main determinant is what you've been doing throughout your body, not what you do at the last moment. Okay. But don't plan to die, plan to live. Okay, see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.